The Séance. That fool Ksayushka reported. There's some peasant here to see you. Madame Luzina flared up. First of all, how many times have I told you not to address me so familiarly? And what do you mean, a peasant? With that, she floated out into the entryway. In the entryway, Ksavary Antonovich Lisinevich was hanging his cap on a stag's horn, smiling sourly. He had overheard Ksayushka's report. Madame Luzina flared up a second time. Oh, good heavens! Forgive me, Ksavary Antonovich. That country fool. She calls everyone that. Hello there. Oh, think nothing of it, Lisinevich said, spreading his arms in a worldly gesture. Good evening, Zinaida Ivanovna. He brought his feet together into the third position, bowed his head, and pressed Madame Luzina's hand to his lips. But just as he was about to cast a long and lingering gaze upon her, her husband, Pavel Petrovitch, crawled out from behind a door. The gaze instantly flickered out. Yes, indeed. Pavel Petrovitch began his usual drone. A peasant, he... Savages. Absolute savages. I keep thinking, all this talk of freedom, communism. Forgive me. How can one even dream of communism when there are Ksayushkas everywhere? A peasant. He... You must excuse us, for God's sake. My husband. Oh, what an idiot, Madame Luzina thought and interrupted him. Why are we standing in the entryway? Please come into the dining room. Yes, you are most welcome in the dining room, Pavel Petrovitch seconded. After you. The entire company, hunching over, crawled under a black pipe and emerged into the dining room. As I was saying, Pavel Petrovitch continued, putting an arm around the guest's waist. Communism. There's no denying it. Lenin is a man of genius, but, well, wouldn't you like a ration cigarette? He just got them today. But communism is the sort of thing that, in its very essence... Oh, is that one torn? Take another, the one on the edge. In its very nature, it requires a certain level of development. Oh, is it damp? These cigarettes. Here, please, take this one. In its very substance. Wait, let it catch fire. And these matches. Rations, too. It requires a certain level of consciousness. Wait a moment, Paul. Ksavary Antonovich, will you have tea before or after? I think, before, Ksavary Antonovich replied. Ksayushka, the Primus stove. Everyone will be here soon. Everyone is terribly interested. Terribly. I even invited Sofia Ilyinichna. And the table? We got it. We got it. Only it has nails in it. But surely that won't matter. Of course, it isn't ideal, but we'll manage somehow. Ksavary Antonovich cast a glance at the three-legged inlaid table, and his fingers twitched instinctively. Pavel Petrovitch spoke up. I must confess, I don't believe in it. I don't believe it. Say what you will. Though, admittedly, in nature... Oh, how can you say that? It is madly interesting. But I warn you, I shall be frightened. Madame Luzina's eyes sparkled with excitement. She hurried back to the entryway, quickly adjusted her hair in the mirror, and flitted into the kitchen. From there came the roar of the Primus stove and the slapping of Ksayushka's heels. I think. Pavel Petrovitch began, but did not finish. There was a knock in the entryway. Lenotchka was the first to arrive, followed by the lodger. Sofia Ilyinichna, a teacher of the second grade, did not keep them waiting either. And immediately after her came Boboritsky with his fiancée, Ninotchka. The dining room filled with laughter and tobacco smoke. It should have been arranged long, long ago. I, for one, must confess. Ksaveri Antonovich, you will be the medium, won't you? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Ksaveri Antonovich coquettishly demurred, I am, in essence, just as uninitiated as the rest of you. Although, oh no, your table actually rose into the air. I, for one, I assure you, Munoz saw a greenish light with her own eyes. How terrifying. I don't want to. With the lights on. With the lights on. Otherwise, I won't agree, cried the sturdily built, practical Sofia Ilyinichna. Otherwise, I won't believe it. Allow me. Let us give our word of honor. No. No. In the dark. Like when Julius Caesar tapped out our deaths for us. Oh, I can't bear it. Do not ask about death. Boboritsky's fiancée shrieked, while Boboritsky himself languidly whispered, In the dark. In the dark. Ksayashka, her mouth hanging open in astonishment, brought in the kettle. Madame Luzina rattled the teacups. Quickly, everyone, let's not waste time. And they sat down for tea. A shawl, on Ksaveri Antonovich's instructions, was used to tightly cover the window. The light in the entryway was extinguished, and Ksayashka was ordered to stay in the kitchen and not stomp her heels. They sat down, and darkness fell. Ksayashka grew bored and anxious all at once. Some kind of devilry was afoot, darkness everywhere. They had locked themselves in. First there was silence, then a quiet, rhythmic tapping. Hearing it, Ksayashka froze. She felt a chill of fear. Silence again. Then a faint voice. Good Lord. Ksayashka shifted on her greasy stool and began to listen. Tap, tap, tap. It was as if the voice of that female guest, that blockhead, God forgive me, began to mumble. Ah, ga, 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 tap, tap. On her stool, Ksayashka swayed like a pendulum between terror and curiosity. One moment she imagined a horned devil behind the black window. The next, she felt drawn toward the entryway. Finally, she could stand it no longer. She pulled the door to the brightly lit kitchen shut and slipped into the entryway. Groping with her hands, she stumbled against some trunks. She squeezed past them, fumbled about, found the door, and pressed her ear to the keyhole. But through the keyhole came only a hellish darkness, from which voices drifted. Spirit, who are you? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Tap. I, the voices sighed in unison. A, B, C, D. I'm. Tap. Tap, tap. I'm pray. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, Emperor Nop Tap. Tap. Napoleon. Heavens, how interesting. Quiet. Ask him. Ask him something. What? Yes, ask. Well, who wants to go first? Spirit of the Emperor, Lenotchka asked in a breathless, trembling voice, tell me, should I transfer from the Central Chemical Committee to the Railway Supply Committee, or not? Tap, tap, tap. Foo, fool. Emperor Napoleon answered distinctly. He, the cheeky lodger giggled. A ripple of suppressed laughter ran through the circle. Sofia Ilyinichna whispered crossly, How can you ask such nonsense? Lenotchka's ears burned in the dark. Do not be angry, kind spirit, she implored. If you are not angry, tap once. Napoleon, obeying the hands of Ksaveri Antonovich, who was managing to do two things at once, Tickling Madame Lazina's neck with his lips and spinning the table, swung a table leg and jabbed it right into Pavel Petrovich's corn. SSS. Pavel Petrovich hissed in pain. Quiet. Ask him. Is there no one else in the apartment? The cautious Spiriticheskiy asked.
No.
No. Speak freely. Spirit of the Emperor, tell us, how much longer will the Bolsheviks remain in power?
Now
that is interesting. Quiet. Count the taps. Tap, 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 tap. Napoleon began to drum, limping on one leg. Theoretically, 3 months. Thank God, the fiancé cried out. I hate them so much. Sho, what are you doing? But there's no one here. Who will overthrow them? Spirit, tell us. Everyone held their breath. Tap, 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 tap. Séance was bursting with curiosity. Finally, she could take no more. Recoiling from her own reflection as it flickered in the gloom of the mirror, she squeezed back past the trunks and into the kitchen. She grabbed her shawl, slipped back into the entryway, and hesitated for a moment before the door. Then, making up her mind, she quietly closed the door and, giving free rein to her heels, went racing down to see Masha from the floor below. Masha from the floor below was found on the main staircase by the lift at the bottom, along with Duska from the 5th floor. Masha's pockets were stuffed with at least 100,000 sunflower seeds. Séance poured her heart out. They've locked themselves in, girls, writing things down about the Emperor and the Bolsheviks. It's pitch black in the apartment, terrifying. The lodger, the master, the mistress, her fancy man, the schoolteacher? No! Masha and Duska exclaimed in amazement as the mosaic floor became covered in a sticky layer of seed shells. The door to apartment number 24 slammed shut, and a dashing fellow in extraordinary trousers moved down the stairs. Duska, Séance, and Masha squinted at him. Down to the knees, the trousers were normal enough, made of good diagonal cloth, but from the knees down they flared out wider and wider until they looked like bells. A square, bronze chest strained against his jersey, and from a leather holster on his hip, a sharp-nosed barrel peeked out gloomily. The dashing fellow, tossing back a head adorned with gold letters on his cap, stepped lightly, making his bell-bottoms swing. He descended to the lift and, after searing all 3 women with a fleeting glance, headed toward the exit. They put out the lamps so I wouldn't see, you see.
Hee.
And they're writing it all down, saying it's the end for the Bolsheviks. The Emperor.
He.
Suddenly, something happened to the dashing fellow. His patent leather boots seemed to stick to the floor. His pace slowed. He stopped abruptly, fumbled in his pocket as if he'd forgotten something, then yawned. Apparently changing his mind about leaving, he turned around and sat on a bench, vanishing from Séance's sight behind a glass partition labeled concierge. He seemed suddenly fascinated by a ginger, cracked cupid on the wall. He fixed his eyes on the cupid and began to study it intently. Having unburdened her soul, Séance stomped back upstairs. The dashing fellow gave a weary yawn, checked his wristwatch, shrugged, and, apparently bored of waiting for someone from apartment 24, rose and followed a flight behind Séance, his bell-bottoms swaying loosely. When Séance slipped inside, trying not to slam the door, a match flickered in the darkness of the landing by the white number, 24. The fellow was no longer sticking to the floor or yawning. 24, he said to himself with focus. Now brisk and lively, he shot down like an arrow through all 6 floors. In the smoky gloom, Socrates, who had replaced Napoleon, was performing wonders. He danced like a madman, predicting the imminent fall of the Bolsheviks. A perspiring Sofia Ilyinichna read out the alphabet without stopping. Everyone's hands had gone numb, except for Ksavry Antonovich's. Blurred, whitish silhouettes flitted through the haze. When their nerves had reached the breaking point, the table, with the wise Greek sitting inside it, swayed and floated upward.
Ah.
Enough. I'm afraid.
No.
Let it go. Dear spirit. Higher. Is no one touching it with their feet? No, of course not. Sho.
Spirit.
If you are truly here, strike an A on the piano. The Greek plunged from above and slammed all his legs into the floor. Something inside the table snapped with a crack. Then it began to flounder and, treading on the toes of the shrieking ladies, it started lunging toward the piano. The spiritualists, bumping heads, rushed after it. Ksayashka jumped up from her cotton blanket in the kitchen, startled. The frantic spiritualist didn't even hear her squeak. Who's there? Some new spirit, malicious and terrifying, had possessed the table, evicting the deceased Greek. It rattled its legs violently, like a machine gun, lunging from side to side and tapping out utter gibberish. Diarga, B.E. Dear spirit, the group moaned. What do you want? The door, the frenzied spirit finally burst out.
Ah.
The door. Do you hear? He wants to escape through the door. Let him go. Thump, clatter, bang. The table hobbled toward the door. Wait, Bobritsky suddenly cried. You see the power in him. Let him knock on the door before he reaches it. Spirit, knock. And the spirit exceeded all expectations. From the outside, a sound struck the door as if 3 fists had hit it at once. AI, 3 voices shrieked in the room. The spirit was indeed full of strength. He hammered so loudly that the spiritualist's hair stood on end. In an instant, every breath was held. There was total silence. In a trembling voice, Pavel Petrovich called out, Spirit, who are you? From behind the door, a sepulchral voice replied, The Extraordinary Commission. The spirit evaporated from the table ignominiously and instantaneously. The table, leaning on its injured leg, became motionless. The spiritualists turned to stone. Then Madame Luzina groaned, My God, and quietly sank into a genuine faint onto the chest of Ksavry Antonovich, who hissed, Oh, to hell with this idiotic idea. Pavel Petrovich's, shaking hands, opened the door. Instantly the lamps flashed on, and the spirit stood before the snow-pale group. He was leather, all leather from his cap down to his briefcase. Moreover, he was not alone. A whole procession of subordinate spirits could be seen in the entryway. There was a glimpse of a bronze chest, a faceted gun barrel, a gray overcoat, then another overcoat. The spirit surveyed the chaos of the séance room and, with a sinister smirk, said, Your papers, comrades.